What's going on, y'all? It's your boy Sogekami. I'm talking about this week's chapter of One Piece, which is 1104. The title is Thank You, Daddy, and it's the chapter where we get that satisfying ending to this punch that's coming up. And basically, it starts off with like a cover page request. We see our boy Chuji. He's getting married. I think that's lovely, whatever. And I'm hopefully soon we can get into another cover page story. Before I even get into the cover page story, I'm going to talk about this week's episode of One Piece. Most specifically, at the end of the episode, when we get like that Robin and Chopper basically. They give us a bunch of like backstory and tell us about some characters. So it seems like the idea that they're going to use this moment to explain the Vegapunk connections with like Mads and stuff like Stussy and stuff like that. That's where we're going to learn all about those cover page information. So I think that was a great thing for them to add, because that gives us a lot of context about things that are going to be happening. Hopefully we can also find the context for like, what's our girl's name? Pudding getting captured and stuff like that. So, or maybe they could just add that into an episode at some point. Like it'll just flash to, Blackbeard and the Blackbeard group, Aokiji, capturing her with Vasco Shot. No, not Vasco Shot. His name is the gun guy. I forget his name at the top of the moment. But yes, so I want to just mention that, because one of the worries that I did have for this arc was that cover pages aren't usually put into episodes. So, and the cover pages include story relevant information. So I was always worried about that. But now it seems like they have done something that's going to cover their bases on that front. So getting into the chapter, it starts off as Kuma still getting ready he's winding back on that punch. We do see some moments of Jay Garcia. He's basically saying, hey, once the Revolutionary Army stole Kuma, I flipped the switch. He should have exploded. He's not even supposed to be here. And Vegapunk gives us information basically saying that he didn't turn him into a bomb, but he basically had a program that was going to end Kuma's life. Kuma would just stop working and he'd become like a vegetable at that point. So we now see that that's not what happened. Kuma started like running and on his way here and stuff like that. So Kuma, I don't know what it is. At some point Vegapunk does mention, he said, oh, his Buccaneer blood. Buccaneers are also known for being, and he doesn't mention what they're known for being. So that's just another mystery leaving us. Hopefully in the next chapter we will get that information about Buccaneers. But I feel like it's going to be some type of power of love or willpower. Just the Buccaneers could be related to the family of D. So it's all stuff that we're waiting for. So Kuma delivers like one of the most satisfying punches. We do know that Kuma was there to witness Luffy punching the other Celestial Dragon. So this is kind of like Kuma always looked up to Nika, and then he's like kind of follows in Nika's footsteps by punching a Celestial Dragon himself now. And it's even more impactful being that Kuma was a slave. So Kuma like basically is going against all the people who were overpowering him and used his slavery like for their advantage. It's like just a lot of pent up anger, and he was going against his daughter. And you know how Kuma be about his family. Like Kuma's a real one, and I think that was just a beautiful, most impactful punch. But unfortunately, Saturn is able to heal. Saturn like broke a horn, his arm was like all torn up, and he basically healed all that back. But once Kuma landed that punch, we see a lot of people like being able to move again. Kizaru's getting up. Sanji and Frankie are able to move. They go to help Bonnie. Kizaru had like a moment where he was like kind of seemed to be relieved that Saturn got punched, just so he didn't have to keep following his orders. Maybe if, let's say, Saturn didn't get up, it's possible that Kizaru would have just left, because Kizaru was just like, yo, this is too much for me right now. But I am happy to see that Kizaru isn't switching sides so easily. I think that this paints the picture that Kizaru wasn't the person that gave Luffy food, but at the same time, Kizaru did move in that shot, and it seemed like he did notice that Luffy was eating. So I feel like Kizaru saw the person who was giving Luffy food, and the person who was probably giving Luffy food was Caribou. Caribou did this before, and during Wano, and I just think that where all that food came from, it is possible that there was like a machine and Luffy was like summoning food, and maybe he grabbed it himself too. But I do probably think that it was Caribou himself, and then that's how Luffy got away. Caribou could have absorbed him and ran. It could have been a plethora of things, but I'm curious. I'm hoping that Caribou like takes Luffy to where the Iron Giant is, and then something happens there, because we haven't really gotten any moment of what that activation was about, and something happening with that Iron Giant. So I'm looking forward to that. So and then one of the next things that happens is Sanji basically one of the next things that happens is Jay Garcia goes to like attack Kuma while he's embracing Bonnie, and it's one of the most beautiful hugs, because Bonnie is like basically saying to Kuma, you know, I saw all your memories, I know everything now, I'm so happy. Like, I was sad because I thought you didn't send me letters, I thought you were running from me, but like I see everything and I understand now, and I'm so happy to have met you. And it's like Kuma gives Bonnie a hug in a way that's just so loving and so protective of a father, and Oda does a really good job of like showing you just like the emotions behind these two characters, and I just thought that was just a very satisfying hug and embrace. And Jay Garcia goes to like attack Kuma, and we see Sanji basically kick the foot out of the way. Sanji's finally doing something, and he did it with ease, so I'm happy to have seen that. It wasn't even like a Diable Jambe or anything, he just kicked it out of the way, like you're not even attacked the person. So I think that was great. Frankie attacks St. J with a radical beam. It goes right through him, but you know, obviously he heals that up like shloop. And then we see Kizaru appear behind Frankie, and it kind of sounds like he's challenging both Frankie and Sanji. And I would love to see that matchup. It'd be cool if Frankie did something like he had those like light refracting gloves that we saw with Atlas in the beginning. Like he used those to attack Kizaru, and Sanji could use like his haki. I think that'd be an interesting way to fight. And I think that's like a team up we really haven't seen yet, like Frankie and Sanji working together. So I think that this is a perfect and the perfect opponent, like Kizaru versus Frankie and Sanji. I think that would be like a way to even out the fights. You get something new. I like the team up fights a lot, and we haven't seen that at all. So yeah, I'm sure some people would have loved to just see Sanji versus Kizaru, but I don't mind seeing Sanji and Frankie like team up, because you know, team up fights happen, and it's not all like a power scaling thing. I don't think that means that Sanji wouldn't be able to take down Kizaru by himself, but I would just love to see that fight. I think it's a pretty cool idea. We see Atlas carrying Kuma, and that's interesting because it does imply that, you know, there's hope for Kuma at some point, you know. But I think that this is giving us, the readers, some type of hope, but in reality, we'll see something like Kuma sacrificing himself because he's already so far gone, to make sure that either the crew escapes, the Nika legend is able to live on, something like that. But I don't think that Kuma is going to be getting away. And if Kuma did get away, I think that it puts a nail in the idea of Kuma being able to, like, or Bonnie being able to join the crew. I think Kuma and Bonnie would be able to live happily ever after that. And obviously I would love for them to be happily ever after, but I think that Bonnie is such a cool addition to like the roster, that Bonnie would be someone that I would like to see on the crew. But I also don't believe that we're getting any more crew members after Yamato, just because that stuff really threw me for a loop. I really was looking forward to seeing Yamato on the crew. And then lastly, we see that the Buster Call is initiated. Now we see kind of like a moment where Vegapunk is like scolding Kizaru, saying like, don't you have a heart? And then Kizaru says, yeah, I'm a miserable man, but I should have wore darker glasses. So it's like Kizaru's like, you know, I'm gonna cry about it, this make me sad, but I gotta do what I gotta do, which, you know, like I said, I love seeing, because I do want Kizaru to be a villain. Like, I want, even if Kizaru knows he's doing the wrong thing, I want Kizaru to stand on his business and, you know, be part of the evil team. Like, that's what he chose to be. So I'm all about that, and I like that Oda's writing him as somebody who's conflicted, but he's going to stand on the team that he chose on. You know, he picked a side and trusted in it, and I'm all about that. And so the Buster Call is initiated. Basically Jay Garcia says, you know, there are people who are looking for like the truth of the world, which would be like Vegapunk and Robin. And then he says like there's like somebody with like a banned blood, which is like Kuma, and then someone who's awakened like an ancient god, which is Luffy. And then he's like, basically says like there are too many like bothersome people, so we just gotta eradicate it. It's like at this point they were trying to keep the island safe, because mostly there was like the punk records that they needed so that they can create another like Mother Flame. But it seems like at this point there's just too many contingencies. So now the Buster Call plan is getting put into action. So I'm curious as how that's going to go. If Saturn is going to stick around for the Buster Call, if he's going to leave, or if he's going to continue fighting. How long it takes for Luffy to get back, and then just how they're going to escape the island itself. This would be the second Buster Call called on Lucci, which is hilarious. And if like in the next chapter we see Zoro put Lucci down, and then Lucci is like getting Buster called on again, that'd just be so funny. Like Lucci literally failed this thing twice. And I want to see how really, like, the most important things are in the next chapter is seeing Zoro and seeing Lucci, seeing how that fight's going, seeing if we can get like a full chapter out of that, maybe a catch up on what the other Straw Hats are doing, like especially Robin, what's going on with the health of Stussy, and I want to see where the Blackbeard pirates are going, what exactly their roles are going to be in this arc. If Blackbeard himself is going to make it onto the island, I want to know if there's going to be any more Seraphim. What are the Seraphim going to do? Are they going to get Buster called? Are they going to just follow orders, or if they're going to be fighting too? So I think that all of this is interesting, and I want to know. I really want to know about the Blackbeard thing more than ever. Just who's there, I had a few friends ask me, like, oh, like, how do we know it's Blackbeard? Well, they have a teleporter. I don't know what his teleporting range is and how many people he can teleport at once. You can teleport at least Blackbeard, but can he teleport the whole ship? So I'm very curious as to what's going to happen with that part of the arc that they've like kind of hinted at. So let me know what you guys think of this chapter. I thought it was like a good little setup chapter, our first chapter of the year, and many more to come. 1105 should be this week too. There is no break, and so we're getting right back into it, getting right back into the speed of things. So let's see how we do with One Piece this time around. Thank you so much for watching. Please make sure to like and subscribe on the channel, and we'll see you in the next one, 1105. See ya. Out.